Good evening. Didn't see you there. My name is Dominic DeSetta, and this is my video. So enjoy the fire, enjoy a nice cup of hot cocoa, grab a blanket, and enjoy the show. Today's discussion will be on the novel Rocket Boys, which certainly is a lengthier read, but I believe that every detail plays a key role in the story. The reader gains a better understanding of Sonny's character through his failing romantic life, how he was influenced by the world outside of Colwood, and how he was supported through a small, connected community. The ending of Rocket Boys is predictable early on in the book, but the content that comes before that is where the book truly shines. Sonny is a high school throughout most of Rocket Boys, and conveniently enough, so are we. One of the ways that the story ensures our connection to Sonny as a teenager is to tell of his struggles trying to be smooth with the ladies. Sonny's dream girl, Dorothy Plunk, is introduced in the second chapter of the book, and Sonny describes his feelings about her in an entire paragraph. He manages to plan a regular study session with her at her house, but Sonny's never able to win her over. This shows that while Sonny has amazing willpower, he's still stuck with the friend zone burden that many high school boys have come to deal with time and time again. This humanizes the main character as someone who faces problems every day as everyone else does. Sonny obviously needs help, and he more or less seeks that in his friend, Roy Lee. Roy Lee brings many memorable moments in his attempts to educate his friends on the art of impressing the ladies. Roy Lee shared stories and even did some demonstrations, and Sonny's confusion and continued awkwardness during them is clear to the reader. However, Sonny's search for love is altered by an incident with Valentine Carmina. It is not exactly described what Valentine and Sonny did in the backseat of Buck's car, but it seemed like it was what Sonny was wishing for. However, after this encounter, he says, "I thought of Valentine, and it gave me no pleasure. My first experience with a girl seemed sad. Valentine had loved me with pity in her heart." This realization evolves Sonny's thoughts about love into something deeper than a high school crush, and makes the reader realize Sonny's change in maturity. All of these moments masterfully show many sides of Sonny that we would never be able to see if they had been left out. The majority of Rocket Boys takes place in Colwood, West Virginia. However, throughout the story are links to the historical events that were happening outside of Colwood. The novel is nonfiction after all, so these details give the reader a better understanding of the time period and Sonny's influences. The first and most obvious of these is the Sputnik. It gets a whole chapter devoted for it, and for a good reason. This Russian satellite passing over Colwood is the major motivator for Sonny to build rockets of his own, and in his own small way, join the space race. Without this influence, there might not have been any Rocket Boys in the first place. Another real-world connection that develops Sonny is his idol, Dr. Werner von Braun. This Russian rocket scientist becomes a continuous inspiration for Sonny and his team. He receives a letter from Werner von Braun congratulating him that inspires him to continue his work. He even names the plot where he shoots off his rocket Cape Colwood, which is a homage to the rocket launching site Cape Canaveral that von Braun presides in. Yet another real-world connection is the encounter with John F. Kennedy during his candidacy. Sonny's dad has outspoken hate for the candidate, but Sonny eventually has an exciting moment with Kennedy. During the 24th chapter, Sonny finds himself in the middle of one of Kennedy's speeches in Welsh. Sonny tells Kennedy that America ought to go to the moon. After some laughter, Kennedy agrees with the young boy and the audience cheers. This puts Sonny's goals in a much bigger perspective for the reader. These real-life events are just a few that influenced him to build rockets. Finally, the details and events sprinkled throughout Rocket Boys give the reader a deep understanding of the small town of Colwood, even for readers who go to school in an urban or suburban setting. One of these details is the significance of the mining engineers in Colwood who assist Sonny in building his rockets. Learning to weld and construct is a difficult task, so Sonny relies on the engineers to put his plans to action. Mr. Baikovsky put his job on the line to help Sonny. Sonny's growing friendship with the engineers and Mr. Baikovsky shows the reader how much the community comes together to help one of their own. In addition, Sonny's encounter with Geneva Eggers makes the reader realize what kind of setting Coalwood is. When Sonny is trapped in a snowstorm, he's taken in by this woman, who is a complete stranger to him. Sonny's fed and even changes in the same room as the woman, and while uncomfortable at first, he still isn't worried. This is a natural occurrence to him, and that shows how people in Coalwood trust and respect each other. Another huge help to Sonny is the Great Six and their influence towards the pastor's speech. Because of how word goes around in Coalwood, the teachers learned about Sonny's father disapproving of his dreams. They tell the pastor about this, and he plans a speech for the next church session. The pastor's speech is an incredibly strong moment of the book, and a turning point for Sonny's attitude. Every step of the way, Sonny relies on others to make his dreams complete, and the people of Coalwood are always there to support him. All of these details make the reader realize just how special of a town Coalwood is. It's not just a mining town, but a closely knit community. So, thanks for tuning in, even though you were forced to. This concludes my commentary of Rocket Boys, and I hope it's clear to you now, as it was clear to me, that every detail of the novel was masterfully added so as to help the reader understand Sonny's character, influences, and support. Everything that might have seemed like an unnecessary side story turned out to be something with deep meaning and purpose behind it. And that's what makes Rocket Boys such an incredible read.